Welcome to another Chalk or Not segment. This time we're talking about UFC Nashville, where we got 9 total fights out of the 12 that I consider chalk. And a reminder, in my definition of chalk, it's any fighter that is minus 185 or wider, hence 9 of them out of the 12 here that I'm going to be briefly talking about and letting you guys know whether you should be chalking it up, whether you should be nodding it in terms of just avoiding it completely, whether you should parlay it or play it straight. I'm going to help you guys out as much as I can, briefly going over those. And I know a lot of you guys really appreciate this because you love to parlay stuff. But I'm going to give you the points as to why you shouldn't or why you should on some of these spots. As you guys can see, the studio is slowly coming together. I got that first layer up of the new background that I'm going to be throwing up. The rest of that will be coming up either tonight or tomorrow. And then I just got the last thing that I got. I'm using natural light. So right across from me is a giant window. I got blinds coming in for that in the next, it says the next like 7 to 10 business days. So once that arrives, I'll be able to work with the lighting a little bit better, get the camera looking a little bit better. And I'm very much looking forward to that. You know, it's been a shit show in terms of making it look good while it looks like I'm sitting in prison or something like that. So appreciate you guys bearing with me. You guys come to know that I try to bring as much production value and make it look good for you guys, make it sound good for you guys as well. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me over the last 2.5 months while I've been getting my shit together in terms of how I want this place to look. Yeah, it should look banging and it should be all set up. I'm hoping by next weekend's UFC 318, 319 card, whatever that pay-per-view card is. All right, I'm blabbering too much. I know you guys care about the background, I guess, so I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Chalk or not? Let's get right to it. First matchup up, Fatima Kline going up against Melissa Martinez, minus 1,200. You guys know me. You guys have been watching this for a while. Anything minus 700 or wider, and minus 700 is very rarely, I would say, is chalk-worthy. I don't care what the matchup is. You never pay this type of chalk in mixed martial arts. Fatima Kline wins. I think the better way to go about this might be to take a prop on Fatima Kline in terms of how you see her winning. I'm going to probably go inside the distance, but in terms of her minus 1,200 money line, that is not chalk-worthy. Next matchup, Mike Davis, minus 900, going up against Ramirez. I think Davis wins. I think he dominates. I think he wins inside the distance. So maybe the inside the distance line or even the under 2.5 line might be better, but we do not parlay minus 900. Thus, Mike Davis, not chalk-worthy at minus 900. All right, next up, Kennedy Nzechukwu, minus 205, going up against Walter Walker. Now, that's a matchup that I can talk a little bit more about. Obviously, Nzechukwu is a guy that a lot of people look to fade in recent fights, especially after the performance that we saw him have against Ovince St. Preux. But I think him moving up to heavyweight, seeing his performance last time around against Lucas Dresky as well, showcasing a very a technical and disciplined striking approach that night, which led to that late first round stoppage. I think if he continues to show that off, I think he can start getting close to that potential that a lot of people saw for him. So, still, there are some question marks. Walker on a solid run of his own now too, heel hooking back-to-back guys in the first round. Maybe he's strong enough, maybe he's physical enough to get Nzechukwu to the ground and get some good work off there, but I need to see some consistency first from Nzechukwu before I can trust him at chalk. I'm picking him to win this fight, but at minus 205, I'm going to have to put him in the not chalk-worthy category for this matchup. All right, next up, we got Eduardo Moura coming in at minus 600 going up against Lauren Murphy. I'm already seeing this line start to trickle down a bit. If you guys watched my full card breakdown earlier this week, you guys know that I'm picking Moura to win, but there is no way in hell I was going to pay minus 600, minus 700 on her. If anything, I thought there was some value on the Murphy side, who has a tougher strength of schedule, has the physicality to make this a rough night for Moura if Moura can't get this fight to the ground. Murphy is also the better striker in terms of putting combinations together and applying pressure, and she has the much better gas tank. So she's a live underdog to win this fight. I'm picking Moura to win, but no way in hell would I ever say in this specific type of matchup to be paying chalk on her. Thus, I'm going to put Moura in the not chalk-worthy category. Next up, we got Chris Curtis going up against Max Griffin. Curtis coming in at minus 315, and he's finally going back down to welterweight, which I think is a move he should have made a couple fights ago. Can't blame the guy. He started his UFC career 3-0, knocking out most of those guys in the middleweight division. So it gave him some confidence. But we're starting to see that fizzle out a little bit more. And I think that's why he is making this move down to 170 pounds, where I feel like he'll be much more successful. And I think this is a matchup against Max Griffin. He can showcase that success. He has good takedown defense, good get-ups, but it's really his pocket exchanges with his combinations and his power, which I think is going to cause Max Griffin a ton of trouble here. Unless Griffin chins Curtis historically very good durability. Even that KO loss that he had to Roman Kopylov last time around, there's a case that could have gone on, and that came down to the last second of the fight as well. I'd be surprised if Griffin hurts him or even puts him away, but I like Curtis here, and I think he actually knocks out Griffin, and I'm going to put Curtis in the chalk-worthy category. Our next up, Vitor Petrino, minus 700 going up against Austin Lane. This will be Petrino's first foray into the UFC heavyweight division, and that alone is reason to keep me a little bit skeptical, especially with Petrino pulling off some, screw jobs recently, getting guillotined by Anthony Smith in the first round of their fight, getting knocked out by Dustin Jacoby as well. Petrino is a guy that normally relies on that big power. He's tried to round out his grappling game as well, but obviously that gave him some trouble in the Anthony Smith fight. This is a very winnable fight for him. This is a fight that he should go out there and knock out Austin Lane, but everybody only wants to remember Lane getting knocked out. They don't want to remember the dominant first round he had against Jonata Dennis. They don't want to remember the few times he rocked and hurt Mario Pinto very badly and won that fight on all three judges' scorecards before getting knocked out in the second. And that's where his issue is. He seems to have a lapse of judgment in those second rounds. But if he can keep it clean here, he could put together a good enough body of work to cause Petrino some trouble. And Lane is a big dude. I think 6'6", 6'7" at heavyweight, big athletic dude. He might be able to cause Petrino some problems here. So I would think twice about parlaying Petrino at minus 700. Thus why I would put him in the not chalk-worthy category. All right, next up, we got Morgan Charriere coming in at minus 260, going up against Nate, the trained Landwehr, Tennessee's own Landwehr, who's going to be looking to show out in front of a home state crowd. And he's definitely going to bring it to Charriere, and Charriere is going to be looking to bounce back after getting swept on the scorecards by Nathaniel Wood earlier this year. And I think that's going to be the issue here for Charriere. He's a strong, powerful, physical fighter. He's a little bit low volume at times, and that's what often gets him in trouble in his fights. And unless he's able to land with, massive damage and make it look very good for the judges, he might find himself behind against guys that are a little bit more keen to throw output and throw volume. Hence why I think he might struggle here against a guy like Landwehr. I think Charriere lands the bigger shots. I think he might even try to get this into the grappling realm to try to, win some seconds and minutes off the clock there. But I think he ends up landing the more significant strikes. I think he wins on the scorecards, but minus 260 is too wide of a clip here, considering the type of activity, pressure, and pace that Landwehr normally puts on. So if Landwehr's durability holds up, if he can land more shots than Charriere can land damage, you're going to be, slapping yourself for parlaying that Charriere chalk here. But I'm going to go Charriere to be not chalk-worthy in this fight. All right, co-main event where we got Gabriel Bonfim coming in at minus 400 going up against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Thompson, I believe, is 42 years old now, and the thing you really have to watch for there is the fact that his karate, kickboxing point style has a lot to do with his reflexes, his speed, and his ability to land with accuracy. Otherwise, he's going to get hit, hurt, and put away just like he was last time around against Joaquin Buckley. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, and I think Bonfim is slowly gaining his confidence back after dropping his first professional loss at the hands of Nicholas Dalby. Now, everybody wants to call Bonfim a gas bag after that performance against Dalby, but you have to give credit to Dalby in terms of the fact that he put on a ton of pace and pressure after Bonfim seemingly emptied his gas tank trying to finish him in that first round. I think that was a big learning lesson for Bonfim, who had finished pretty much everybody he had faced up until that point. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of a conscious approach from him, just as we saw when he went to the scorecards against Angelosa, and even in that fight against Chaos Williams, he got the finish there, but he wasn't really forcing anything. You saw him really go for the submissions at the dying seconds of the first and second round, and he just so happened to get the choke out in the second round there. So I think he's going to be a little bit smarter. I think he can be competitive with Thompson in the striking realm, but I ultimately think he gets that body lock, drags us to the ground, and I think he shows off his submission skills. And I'd be willing to take him at minus 400. I think Thompson's just over the hill at this point in time. Bonfim is in his prime. He's very dangerous, and he is really good at the things that Thompson normally struggles at. And I think Bonfim will take advantage of that. So put Gabriel Bonfim in the chalk-worthy category. All right, main event time now, where we got Thaleson Teixeira coming in at minus 270, going up against Derek the Black Beast Lewis. This is going to be Teixeira's second UFC fight and the first time he's getting a headlining spot for them. This is a big ask for him. After coming into the UFC and quickly disposing of Justin Tafa, they're giving him a veteran in Derek Lewis, who will surely pack the most power that Teixeira has ever gone up against and surely provide the most resistance that Teixeira has ever gone up against. Thus, it's hard to justify minus 270 on Teixeira. If Lewis lands cleanly on him, he has all the chances in the world to knock him out. If I'm not mistaken, Lewis is the knockout heavyweight leader, and I think he could do that here against Teixeira as well. We know Lewis, all of his fights are coin flips. He could be losing 90% of the fight and then put together a blitz attack of a big barrage of shots with just power shots in the third or fourth round and come back and finish dudes. He's done it time and time again. He could absolutely do that here against Teixeira. But to be backing Teixeira, who has never faced anybody like Derek Lewis, who has let alone not even faced much resistance at all throughout his career, can't be betting him at chalk. I don't care how tall he is, how powerful he is, the fact that he's finished every single opponent in the first round. We know that as soon as fighters make it to the UFC, it gets harder to put guys away. He might be able to put Lewis away quickly here, but minus 270 is not the type of line I will be playing on him here. I'd even take a little bit of a sprinkle on Lewis considering how wide the odds are. But I will put Thaleson Teixeira in the not chalk-worthy category. There you guys go. Chalk or not for UFC Nashville. I'll be back tomorrow for the quick picks version of the breakdown. I'll see you guys then. Peace.